What up and welcome to the Beneath the Dirt podcast. I'm your host, Rombone. Thank you for tuning in. We back another Thursday, another special guest. We got, I think we can call this dude a legend in the game at this point, Scottie D. If it wasn't for Faygo Lovers, I don't know if there would be a Beneath the Dirt.
Oh, damn, man. That's much appreciated. I super appreciate that, man. Been
Absolutely.
doing it for a long ass time.
Yeah, man. You've been doing this for quite. I could remember visiting the website long ass time ago. You know, my go-tos were Real Juggalos back in the day, and then they kind of fizzled out.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, all right, Faygo Lovers is a shit. You know, you had your others, but it seemed like Faygo Lovers was just always consistent, always reliable, just always there with the news. So shout out to you and
Thank
Faygo.
you, man. Thank you, man. It's all about staying persistent, and you guys have done a fantastic job of that too. So props to you for keeping the underground alive.
Appreciate that shit. Yeah, I mean, I like to give people their flowers, show love, and just maybe put the spotlight on somebody that doesn't always get it, but kind of like deserves it, and you know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, I super appreciate that, man.
Yeah, and so as the first time being on Beneath the Dirt podcast, I figured we'd start at the beginning. How did you get into ICP and the Juggalo world?
Oh, man. All right. So as most Juggalos know, back in 95, 96 Riddle Box era, ICP threw a dart at a map and landed on Texas, or specifically Dallas, Texas, and that's where I'm from. So their rap vans actually came to a high school that my brother went to, because my friend's brother went to, and he grabbed one of the samplers that they were handing out. I was 15 at the time when we have junior highs here, so I wasn't actually in the high school yet. So he brought it home, took a spin, gave it a listen. He's like, whatever. Gave it to his brother, my homie Daniel, and Daniel's like, dude, you got to check this out. This is some shit that I've never heard. And obviously Chicken Hunting was on there, and the whole Riddle Box sampler and everything was on there. So he got the album. And I actually had another friend, coincidentally, that bought the tape that I'll never forget, because it was obviously the Riddle Box logo on the front, the orange Riddle Box tape. And I dubbed that tape, and I had a 1989 Pontiac Sunbird with two 12-inch Blaupunks and the shittiest factory radio ever. And I wore that dub out. I actually still have that dub, that original dub that kind of started it all.
Wow.
So yeah, back in like 96. So it's 25 years running.
Damn.
Yeah.
So you're one of the early ninjas outside of Detroit, the Midwest scene, to really get down. That's fucking super fresh.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be a lame and claim Carnival or Dog Beats or anything. I'm definitely Riddle Box era though.
Oh, you ain't been down since JJ Boys? Come on.
Right. Absolutely.
That's fucking dope, man. I mean, I got down Malenko era with the game show. You got to check out this song. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
But that one song, not a lot of people stuck around after that, after hearing that song, but I've been here since. But hearing from somebody that the infamous dart on the map, Dallas, Texas, that's fucking fresh. And you got the dubbed cassette still.
Absolutely.
A Riddle Box. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I found it digging through my miscellaneous merch bin I don't know, a year or two ago. I'm like, holy shit, it's what started it all. So yeah, it was pretty fresh.
That's fucking dope. Yeah, man, that's like some day one type shit. Now fast forward a little bit, you're down for a few years. How does Faygo Lovers start?
So common misconception is that I started it, and I actually didn't. So I had a website. It was one of those free kind of GeoCities type websites. It was actually based. It was something called freeservers.com back in the day. I started my own after back in the late 90s, early 2000s, everybody had a Juggalo site. I mean, there were hundreds.
Yeah.
And so I didn't, and still to this day don't have any like graphical, like graphics, Photoshop capabilities or any design capabilities. I'm not that guy. You put data and it's something like editorial in front of me, I can do it all day. But we had my free servers website. I was consistent with it, just like we still are today. So I would post 5-6 times a week on this site that nobody went to, and eventually I caught notice of these guys from Detroit. One of them's moniker was Faygo Lover, and he had Faygo Lovers Heaven, which was also on like a GeoCities type website. So he reached out to me and asked if I wanted to write for them, and I'm not sure what my camera's doing this weird shit, but sorry about that.
Okay.
But anyway, so I'm like, well, I mean, I'm getting more hits than you guys already, on my free servers website, but yeah, let's do it. Let's see what we can do. So I actually kept both of them. I wrote for Faygo Lovers, and I also posted on my free servers website until the Faygo Lovers really picked up. And so that was back in 2001, I think is when I joined, maybe 2000. And then I'm trying to think. I think the the second gathering when Lotus was released, the original Lotus. We actually drove from Toledo to Faygo Lovers' house and ripped the Lotus album in Real Audio, if you remember Real Audio.
I remember.
And we put it up on Faygo Lovers. We bootlegged the shit out of it and put it up for people to stream who weren't able to be at the gathering and hear it for themselves. So that was where we really got our first big traffic bump. And from there, it just kind of blew up from there.
I could remember going to Faygo Lovers back in the day.
Yeah.
AOL 56K, whatever.
Yep.
Trying to download one fucking song. Like, come on, man. I just want to hear real G shit. I know it's only 45 seconds long, but take it forever to download.
Yeah. I mean, shit, I back before even Faygo Lovers, I was downloading the Shaggy Show on 56K modems, and God, that talk about torturous.
Yeah, man, it would take forever.
Yeah.
Ever, and then you'd play, it'd be all choppy and shit. You're like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Not like it was today. Not like it is today for sure.
No, it's instant gratification now.
Yep. If you're an old school ninja like us, the struggle was very real. And not everybody had internet back in the day. Like to hop on like a Faygo Lovers website, I have to be at like a friend's house or a family member's house. Like I didn't have internet for a long time.
Right. No,
I'm like, nah, I gotta fucking get up on the news. I gotta see like when albums are dropping and shit.
Right.
Or if they're on tour. So you didn't start Faygo Lovers.
Did not.
I think I had heard that at some point.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, man. I'm trying to get this camera right. I'm sorry to do troubleshooting on the air, but
it's all good, man. So you didn't start Faygo Lovers and you joined, you said 2000, 2001.
Mm-hmm.
How did you eventually come to take over Faygo Lovers?
So, man, I don't know if you ever did like any websites or paid for hosting back in the day, but shit was expensive. I was at a minimum wage job making jack shit, and so the people who were writing for Faygo Lovers at the time, I just asked, hey, can you contribute like $10 a month towards this, because it was costing, I mean, I want to save like $200 a month.
Okay.
Because we were getting so much traffic, and so people eventually felt. I mean, we were all kids, So I mean, I was in my early 20s, so I guess I'm not technically a kid, but I had bills to pay. I had an apartment, or rent, and car payment and shit like that. So I'm like, I can't take the brunt of everything. So I mean, eventually people fell off, say, hey, I can't do it. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to, ride this one out on my own. And, we've had people come and go, but in 2001, Faygo Lover, he I think he was going to college. So he had very little time to dedicate to it. And I just kind of built a new team from there. And we've had we've got a little bit of a revolving door of contributors over the 20 years, but that's to be expected.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about when I took it over.
Okay. All right. I want to give a shout out to Joker's Gallery,
Oh yeah.
Brandon Ward.
Oh, Brandon's the shit.
Yeah, man. He actually, I hit him up. I was like, how do I get in touch with Scottie D? What's the best way? So I want to give him a shout out. I know he's done. You guys, he's got his show up on the Faygo Lovers YouTube.
Yeah.
He's put out documentaries and stuff like that.
Yeah, incredible documentary. Yeah, he's put a ton of work and time into those. So yeah, props to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to him for guiding me to get in touch with you and you being here today. So that's super fresh of him. So Faygo Lovers, in the beginning, primarily just ICP, eventually Twiztid, Blaze. But now you guys have, especially over the years, but what made you guys expand beyond the Juggalo realm?
Well, I mean, so when Faygo Lovers started, Twiztid was already around, as was Blaze. So we were covering pretty much just psychopathic at the time. But when there were back in the early 2000s, when at least dozens, probably more like hundreds of sites were covering the same stuff, we would be quick to the punch on most of the news and beat everybody to the punch. But going to the different sites and seeing the same news gets kind of stale, right? So we're like, well, let's start covering, God, who was it back? I mean, LSP and all these other artists that had either done collabs with ICP or Twiztid or just stuff like that, and anybody making noise in the underground. I've had and still to this day a close friend with Class. Used to go by MK back in the day. Used to write Real Juggalos back in the day. So I'm still close friends with him. We covered him back in the day. I mean, just there's any number of, we would go back and cover old school like House of Crazy stuff. We'd start doing new sections on, kind of the history of what we all listen to. So, I mean, it's just, you got to evolve, right?
Right.
So that's kind of what we started to do.
Yeah, you got to stand out from, like you said, back in the day, there was endless supply. I mean, shit. Listen to .com at the end of Tales from the Lotus Pod. Like those sites were legit. There were that fucking many and more.
Yep. Shout out Church of the Dark Carnival. I was part of that too.
So, hell yeah.
So.
Fucking fresh, man. And shout out, you mentioned Class. I had Class on here about a month ago when he dropped his album.
Mm-hmm.
He's a fucking super cool dude, and his new album's the shit.
Dude, I mean, he's consistently put out like the best, in my opinion, some of the best underground like rap music or music period in the past, several years.
He gets better with each release too.
Yeah, I mean, including Underground Avengers, man. I mean, it's some of that shit's just super slept on, and you guys need to go check them out if you haven't already.
Absolutely. What do you listen to outside of the Juggalo world?
Man, I really dig like Suicide Boys, Token, Hobson. I don't know. I'm before there was Juggalo music in my life. It was mostly like stuff that you'd hear on like Lithium on Sirius XM. So like alternative and like 90s 2000s hard rock stuff like that. So that's, I mean, I'm 41, so there's usually I tend to stay in my comfort zone, but I mean occasionally I'll hear some new shit that like, damn, this is, I mean, like Suicide Boys, Token, those guys are fairly new. Yeah, and I definitely rock their shit. So
hell yeah. I'm 38 myself, and I'm pretty much the same, like the alternative grunge shit in the early 90s, Metallica, stuff like that. And then like the Juggalo world, like if it wasn't for ICP, I say this all the time. If it wasn't for ICP, maybe I would have gotten into rap and hip hop at some point, but I mean that's pretty much all I listen to at this point.
Same. Yeah.
You know, if it ain't Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, and shit like that, like I don't really have like are rock bands still putting out me like are there new rock bands? Like I don't even know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if there are, then I'm not. I mean, it's not nothing that I'm currently seeking out. Really, I mean, I am wearing a Head PE shirt, hat, so I listen to their shit too. Even though Jared can be a little bit of a diva sometimes, but yeah, no, I mean, still, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. I had a question. How'd you outlast all Juggalo news sites? But I feel like you answered that with just staying consistent, just stay fucking grinding.
yeah, I mean that's really the key to anything, right? So is your persistence, because I mean we've had times where there'll be a newcomer that got some new and fresh to offer, and we're like, well, they may catch fire for a little while, and then they'll just most of them just fizzle out because they don't stay on top of it. It's kind of like a viral video, right?
Right.
They'll have a quick or a one hit wonder or whatever. They'll have a quick flash in the pan, and then they don't stick with it. So that's again been my, because I try to help as many people out as I can in this world, because it's not, I mean, it seems like a huge world, this underground scene, but it's not. And so any newcomers that come to me for advice or suggestions, then that's my number one. Just stay consistent with it. Build your base just like you guys are doing and have done for years. Yeah, and just stick with it, and if it's a good product, then people will catch on.
Absolutely. Consistency is key, and it's the absolute truth. If you just grind every single day, just doing it. I make it a point to post on social media every page at least once a day.
Mm-hmm.
What doesn't even, I don't know. If there's no news happening, I'll come up with something.
Right.
I'm posting something at least once a day.
Yeah.
It's just, people ask me, how do I start a podcast? How do I do this? I'll help people out too, but people need to know and take it from Scottie D's, his word, consistency. This dude's been doing it for 20 years at this
20
point.
years. Yeah.
That's why I say you're a legend in this shit. Is Faygo Lovers the longest running Juggalo news website at this point?
I don't know. I mean, because Juggalo News has gone through several iterations. They were started as Brainbuster, then Real Juggalos, and then now they're Juggalo News. So I mean, if you want to consider that, then maybe they're the longest. But and much love to them too, man. I mean, I love all these. I love everybody in the scene. So as long as they're still putting out content and spreading the word of of this little subculture that I love, that all my best friends and have come from, whether they're still in the scene or not, I give them nothing but love and respect.
Absolutely. Yeah. Juggalo, Real Juggalos kind of gone through different changes over the years, but yeah, they've been around for a long time too.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of your favorite moments that have happened because of Faygo Lovers?
Oh man, so being around this long has afforded me some crazy fresh opportunities. I would say at the top of my list would be speaking at the March, although that was one of the single most scariest moments of my life, because I've done I've done dozens of interviews. The cameras usually don't bother me, but seeing the audience is what I mean. Since elementary school has always fucked with me. So I was almost like hyperventilating when I was about to walk on the stage. So getting introduced and then making that almost 10 minutes 10-minute speech in front of thousands of juggalos, thank goodness I fucked up early and got a "you fucked up" chant, because that really kind of
Right.
that really kind of set the mood. And what I said was super sincere, and I think it was well received, and it was just to march with everybody after the fact, and it was what a magical moment. I don't know if you got a chance to, or were there to experience it, but it was a one of a kind experience.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you what the I wasn't there. I just saw the news. I mean, it was dope to see all the news coverage that the march got.
Yeah.
So the experience was just, it was dope being
It
there.
was, I mean, it was magical, man. I mean, just walking. I mean, I was around the middle of the pack whenever we actually marched, and just seeing juggalos in front of me and behind me as far as I could see. I mean, I don't know how many ended up showing up. I've heard all kinds of different numbers, but from being there personally, it was great to see the whole community kind of come together like that for because we've been so shit on in the mainstream world. So to come together for a cause like that was, and not to mention to see ICP perform right in front of the fucking Abraham Lincoln,
Right.
You can just kind of look up a little bit and see Abe Lincoln as Faygos are launching,
Right. That's
in the
fucking
foreground. That
wild.
was fucking dope.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's that was definitely high on the list. And then because we've been involved in the scene, in the Juggalo subculture for so long, some movie companies and documentarians have reached out to me. So the family movie with shit now, what's the girl's name from Orange is the New Black?
Oh yeah. Fuck,
yeah,
I don't remember her name, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway, so the director of that reached out to me, and I wasn't very heavily involved in putting together the gathering scene for that, and then that branched out to the United States of Insanity documentary, and then I recently worked with a director in New Orleans who is shooting a Juggalo themed movie. So those have all been, I mean, incredible experiences that I probably would have never got to experience without doing what I do with Faygo Lovers. So
That's fucking fresh. I had no idea that you had a part in the family movie. That's fresh.
Yeah.
I did see you in the United States of Insanity.
Yeah, I was nodding a lot.
Yeah, which was a really good documentary, man.
Absolutely.
If
And
people haven't checked it out yet, you got to check it out.
For sure. And so Rachel, Paul, and I were in that trailer together for 2.5 hours. Damn. And so I spoke a lot more than what it might seem in the movie, but Rachel made a lot of valid points, and I think that what the directors did was suited the movie well. So, but yeah, it was crazy because they had that trailer at the gathering. I don't even remember what year it was, 2012, 2013, something like that. And yeah, we sat in there for that long, and I'm not sure how. I mean, you saw all the other juggalos and juggalettes that were interviewed, but I mean, they talked to us for what seemed like forever, and that shit was not air conditioned. We were sweating, and it was miserable. But I think it came out really well.
You're like Shaggy back in the day when Violent J'd be all doing all the talking, Shaggy just being
right.
Yep.
Yep. What do you mean back in the day?
Still, Shaggy's got more of a voice now than he did in like 98, 99.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, yeah. You're like the hype man in the documentary.
Yeah.
That's fucking fresh, man. Being involved in movies, and you said there's some new movie. I mean, can you speak on that at all?
Yeah. I would say, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, maybe longer. We put a casting call out for this movie called Off Ramp. It was shot in New Orleans, and I think that I don't remember if any juggalos that reached out. I know that there were several submissions. The director's name is Nathan Tape, and I don't know if any of the juggalo submissions actually made it into the movie, but we got to be there to shoot for one day at the end of January, and man, I don't know. I actually brought my son. My son's 10. and I actually brought him to the set and everything. And he actually should, depending on how it's cut, he should be in a little make a little cameo in the movie too. So, but no, it's a fictional depiction of these juggalos that are going to the gathering and they get caught up in some shit when they exit on an off ramp to fill up on gas and get a bite to eat. They run into some shit, and all kinds of craziness happens. It's very dark, but like a dark comedy. So
Okay.
man, and it's funny because like even with family, which was obviously it was a higher budget than this off ramp. It was they sent me the script and basically had me make notes, and I made a lot of notes for family, and they took most of them into consideration. So I thought that was pretty cool. Same with off ramp, but Nathan actually came to the gathering last year because he wanted to experience what he's been writing about, and he said it was a life-changing experience for him. I don't know if he would consider himself a juggalo now, but I would consider him a juggalo. He's got all the qualities that we have, right? So
yeah.
But he made changes to his script after experiencing everything at the gathering last year. So if you've never been to a gathering, just speaking to your audience, you're doing yourself a disservice. I've been to all. What have there been? 21 now. Been to all 21.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm going again this year, of course. And yeah, that's. Don't miss it, man. For real. I mean, ICP is not getting any younger.
I know.
The announcement last year about Jay and his heart issues. So as with anyone, we just don't ever know how much time we have. So make it a priority.
It's true. I mean, I've never been, and I gotta go.
Man. You got to.
I know.
Where do you
live? Massachusetts.
Oh, okay. So it's a bit of a trek, but man, take a flight out. Come on, man.
I know.
Make it a point.
I know. I really do. I've been saying it since the fucking first one. I remember when they announced it in the Juggalo Brothers book.
Yeah.
And I just, I always come up with an excuse why not to go.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And man, trust me, over the years, I've had plenty of excuses not to go, but I've always made it a point to. And hey, man, so since you and I are roughly the same age, do you remember? Because I think it might be a false memory at this point because nobody else remembers it.
Okay.
But the first gathering, was it supposed to be in the winter of '99? Do you remember that announcement?
I don't remember that.
Okay. I want to say because my friend Daniel that I told you about earlier, who we kind of discovered ICP together, I seem to remember it being supposed to be in Detroit in December of '99, and that was going to be the first gathering, and then they bumped it back to summer of 2000, because it was somewhat last minute, whenever they announced it, and I say that meaning 2 or 3 months, and I was 18 at the time too, so
right.
Anyway, somebody's going to remember that, or maybe I'm just going crazy at this point. I don't know.
Put it out there. Maybe somebody will comment on the video like, I remember that shit.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. I remember the announcement like, oh shit, these dudes are like doing a festival like type deal. Like this is crazy shit. Like in an arena.
And maybe it was on a hotline back in the day. And good luck. I mean, there is or used to be an archive website with all the hotlines. I don't know if it's still around, but I mean, I haven't taken the time to try to dig through all those hotlines.
Yeah, man. I remember calling the hotline back in the day, hoping for a new message. Sometimes that shit wouldn't get updated for like weeks at a time.
Or months. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And the hotline. Juggalos now, like new juggalos that weren't down back then, don't know the struggle just to get news, hear them talk or anything like that. Like it was so different back then. Like we never saw them without the paint on, anything like that. Like they've kind of gone back to that in recent years, but there was a period where it was just like, oh, there's Violent J without his paint. Oh, there's Shaggy. Twiztid kind of always just kept,
right.
They never really stuck to it like that, but
Well, they always prided themselves. I mean, I remember even back in the day in interviews, they would say, "Yeah, we won't even put like our pictures on T-shirts." You know, back in the day, because we want to kind of keep it a mystery. So obviously, that's gone way out the door. But
right, I remember the infamous mugshot picture.
Yeah. Oh man.
ICP, Twiztid, Misery, Psycho
Yeah.
Realm.
Yeah.
Beat up that dude in a Waffle House.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we were there to experience that one.
Such classic shit, being like, "Oh shit, that's what they look like," and it's like
Right.
shitty mug shots, you know.
Oh yeah.
Fucking
I
super
think
dope.
I think that might have been the first time I saw them. You know, saw their faces without not painted up too.
Hell yeah. You talk about you did bring up the Juggalo March. I know you kind of just report the news. You don't really put your opinions out there like that.
Right.
Twiztid obviously didn't do the march,
Right.
and Juggalos took beef to that. Monoxide recently went on, I think it was a YouTube live, and he was speaking for himself. He said, "I'm not speaking for nobody else, but we should have been there. We should have been there. Just nothing but for the fact that y'all needed us there, and we weren't there." And he apologized. What do you think of that?
Man, I actually I think you guys reposted that clip or cut that clip and put it up, and I'm glad that you did, because I probably would have never seen that live. But we reposted it, or actually, I actually made an article out of it because I thought it was important for people to see, and that was I give Monoxide huge props for that. Man, as a longtime Juggalo, and I know that there's people who will forever hate Twiztid for whatever, for their their beef with each other, whatever. But I want to see, man. I want to be in an audience to hold my DL up, eventually with all 5 members again at some point in time. So, and I actually texted George after seeing that. I'm like, man, I said, for whatever it's worth, thank Paul for doing that, because I think this is, even if it falls on deaf ears. Obviously, Shaggy responded to it. But it is what it is. I'm hoping that time will heal all wounds, and that that again we'll see them back together on stage at some point, because I think those were the most magical times of being a Juggalo. Not that it's not magical now,
right?
But yeah, I mean. Long story longer, yes, I agree or I give Monoxide huge props for putting himself out there, because he knew he was going to get shit over it. And people are saying 5 years too late, whatever. I wish they were there too. I think I also agree with him that it was a bad move for them not to be there, just to show that solidarity with us. But he apologized. I thought he was sincere about it.
It seemed like it didn't seem like he was pandering to just fucking say it and get it out there. It kind of seemed like it came up.
Yeah.
Like he was just like, "Hey, I've been kind of thinking about this lately." I've seen some people saying that maybe he's seen the documentary.
Yeah, maybe.
And was, it was fresh on his mind or whatever, but I thought it was super fresh, man. I've remained a Twiztid fan throughout this whole shit.
Me too, man. And I think that they put out some of their best works, on M&E. I mean, the shirt your Revelation was a fucking masterpiece in my opinion. Mad Season was great too. I'm not so much a big fan of the rock stuff, but again, to each their own. I know a lot of people who are.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I mean, the good thing is that they're doing what they want to do. They're putting out artists who they want to put out. So, much love to them, and I'll be at Astronomicon too. You should come to that as well.
So. I've heard Astronomicon's a fucking crazy, especially the last couple of years, just packed full of people.
Yeah, I didn't make it out last year, obviously, or to the last one because of the gathering, which well, I guess we won't talk about that.
I mean, I talked about it. I was like, that was intentional because the gathering grounds had no other event scheduled for that entire month. I was like,
Okay.
man, they could
Yeah, I didn't know if you covered it or not.
say that it wasn't intentional, but it really seemed like it was.
Yeah, yeah. Well, whatever, it is what it is. And so, and I've worked for the gathering or for well, at the gathering for the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now. So that's one that I can't really miss. Especially I can't break my 20-year streak either.
Right,
So
right.
I had to make that a priority. But yeah, that's also another one of those things that I've doing Faygo Lovers for so long has afforded me. I've gotten to know the people at Psychopathic and uh, especially Rob or Jumpsteady, and so I've worked with him, closely with him at the gathering and getting the website launched and all that stuff too. So that's been cool to do the behind the scenes stuff as well.
Yeah, man, the benefits of just staying consistent again.
Yeah.
That's
And don't think that there's any money out there for you in this, guys, because I'm sure you can attest as well. I mean, there might be enough to kind of pay for itself, which is all I've really ever aimed for. Man, we've over the years we've actually been approached by people by companies to like market to juggalos, and I'm like, I mean, the only thing that we do is make ads available, make banners available, and outdated as that might be, that's what we've, it still pays enough of the bills to, make it all worth it. So
yeah. No, there's no money in this shit. There's no money in it. You either do it
don't,
because you love it,
yeah,
or you'll just eventually fizzle out.
yeah, don't get into it because of that. And on a completely different tangent, or on a tangent anyway, Mr. Beast was actually on Joe Rogan today, and I listened to it right before doing this podcast, doing this interview. And that dude, my kid loves him. He's 10, and he said he's like he started doing YouTube videos at 11. Mr. Beast did, and now he's got you'd get like 100 views. He said he went through like 7 or 8 years with getting maybe 100 views on his videos, and then all of a sudden shit just blew up, and now he's getting 250 million views on some videos. It's like, so I mean, there could be money in it, but I wouldn't,
Right.
don't bet on it,
Yeah.
as long
If
as
you,
it's something that you love, and you're not being a nuisance to whoever your roommates are, your parents or whatever, and you're carrying your own, then stick with it.
you have a 10-year-old kid, do you
Yeah.
shield him
Oh
from the
no,
Juggalo world?
not at all.
Like the music or anything?
No, he has experienced a lot in his little his 10 years, but the good thing is it's kind of like the whole Catholic schoolgirl syndrome, right? So you shield them, and they're the biggest freaks out there, right? So
Right.
so with him, we just anything that he experienced, like for instance the movie set. I was there with Mankini and Jimmy Soda. I don't know if you know Jimmy Alacada. I think he's from your area. He's from Boston area.
Okay.
But anyway, he said, "All right, Pierce is my son's name." I said, "Pierce, don't do or say anything that you see Mankini or Jimmy do this weekend." He's like, "Okay, Dad." So, but I mean, he's such a sweet kid and got a great head on his shoulders, and really loves the experience. He's been to a few ICP concerts himself. And I mean, I don't, I think it's important to just have that open discussion with your kids, and not shield them from, I mean, obviously there's some stuff that's a little too much for a 10-year-old to handle.
Right.
But as far as like just the language and stuff, I have no problem with him hearing it, because he's going to hear it somewhere else anyway.
Exactly.
So I mean, it just again, be an open book to your kids. Keep that line of discussion open, and I mean, it's worked so far with us and with us and Pierce. So
That's got to be a wild experience for a little kid. I mean, I've seen plenty of probably what seemed like 10-year-old kids at ICP and Twiztid shows. I'm like,
yeah,
man, I couldn't even imagine being 10 years old, seeing
Oh,
fucking
me neither.
guys painted like clowns, throwing soda and
Yeah.
shit. I'd be like, yo, this is fucking crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still crazy to me, but just being a little kid seeing that shit.
Yeah, we got him. We got him on stage during Armageddon. We were down in Austin, and it happened to be Shaggy's birthday that day. And so somebody had tasked me out to go get a cake for Shaggy. So I got it, and we actually presented the cake to him on stage, and got to be part of Armageddon. And so during Armageddon, I would give Pierce a bottle, my son a bottle. He'd shake it up and throw it out to the audience and everything. And Violent J actually saw him and took a bottle from the Faygo container and handed it to him. And I've got it on video. It's fucking fantastic. So yeah, he's got lots of stories already in his little 10-year-old arsenal. So
that's fresh.
That I mean, I can't even imagine, like you said, at 10 years old being, having that kind of experience. So
that's fresh, man. I mean,
yeah.
you can. I took my nephew to a Twiztid concert a few years ago. It was his first concert.
Oh, okay.
I always talk about ICP Twiztid concerts.
Yeah.
I want to go to a concert. I'm like, you really want to go? I'm like, it's loud. Yeah, I'll go. I'm like, all right. Took him, and not really his style of music, but he's like, that was fucking awesome.
How old was he?
This was probably 4 years ago. He was like 12, 11, 12.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, right in that same age bracket. He's been to Twiztid shows. He loves when Jason and Michael Myers are on stage. He's a big horror fan. Loves like All of Us Are Dead and Squid Games and all that stuff too. So, but no, he went to Astronomicon, I think the third one, and he's going again this year with us. So he absolutely loves it and loves Juggalos. So
yeah, Astronomicon definitely bring your kids to that. Like I've been to like just Comic-Cons, and I would imagine Astronomicon is very similar to that. And I mean, Astronomicon looks like it's a blast. Plus, you get all the fun Juggalo side stuff, because it's not necessarily Juggalo. If you're an outsider looking in, it's just another convention. But you do get like the Attack of the Ninjas show, I think, that they had last year.
Yeah.
All the fun.
The Electric Lettuce this year. So it's like the 420 show this year, which he'll probably stay with somebody else on that one. I'm not sure. We'll see. Because my son also doesn't like to stay up past 10 o'clock or so. It's like lights out whenever 10 o'clock hits. So anyway, but we'll see how it goes the day of. See if we want to take him out there. But yes, just to reiterate, yes, Astronomicon for kids, no gathering for kids. Gathering is not for kids. I know there are people who bring them out there, but please keep your kids at home.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been to a gathering, but I've seen plenty of gathering footage where it's like, if my nephew was like, I want to go to that, like, yeah, we'll just catch a concert at the Palladium next time they go.
Yeah.
It seems like too much
more feasible.
Yeah, it just seems like it's a festival. I mean, I don't think I'd bring my nephew or anything to any kind of festival.
Right. I mean, and it's like driving a car. It's not what you're doing, it's what everybody else is doing, right? That could either expose them to something or get them hurt or whatever. And plus, you don't want to. I mean, it's supposed to be your vacation, right? So let's not just enjoy. Find a babysitter and then go and enjoy the gathering. Do whatever you're going to do there, and be safe and just live it up there.
Absolutely. Another thing I wanted to touch on, we touched on it a little bit, Twiztid not performing at the March, but it's been just over 5 years since you sat down with Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope for the interview that started this whole thing. When you went into that interview, did you know what was going to happen?
Okay, so I'll set it up a little bit. That was shot the same day that the If We Were a Gang video was shot, same location and everything. So we did the Joe actually called me that about a week before and said, hey, can you be out here tomorrow? I'm like, no, man. I was like, I got a job, you know. Like, I'll be there, but I can't, not tomorrow. I said, all right, well, we're doing a video shoot, you know, this day, whatever day it ended up being, and I'd like to do it. I'd like to go and do an interview with you. So, all right, bet, you know, sign me up. So booked the plane ticket, flew out there, and funny side story, Rudy, little Rudy picked me up, Matteo, and he was tasked with finding these red hoodies for the If We Were a Gang video shoot. I don't know if you remember what they were all wearing, red hoodies with Hatchet Man on them, right? Well, they actually weren't red hoodies with Hatchet Man. They were red hoodies under red Hatchet Man t-shirts, if you look closely. So they're, of course, so look, these last minute event announcements that we're all used to, you know, whether it be gatherings or Juggalo weekends or whatever, that's just how they work. Like this, like Rudy was tasked with finding all of these sweatshirts, all, you know, ranging from a small to a 5X, that day, the day of the video shoot.
Damn.
So we were rolling around all of Detroit because he was like, I'll go drop you off. I was like, well, let me help because I can probably help. And so we were rolling around the whole Metro Detroit area. And finally, I actually call a Faygo Lover. Here's a good tie-in. I actually call Faygo Lover, who, you know, the originator of the website, who owns a t-shirt printing business in Ann Arbor. And I'm like, hey, do you have these hoodies? Do you have some hoodies in these sizes? It's like, actually, I do. So he was actually the saving grace, and that's why everybody in the video show had a red hoodie. Red hoodie. So, but anyway, back to the original question. After the announcement of Young Wicked signing to MNE, which happened New Year's Day, which I believe was the same time that they announced all the March details on Psychopathic side.
Yes.
That really lit a fire under Joe, and he wanted to get his feelings out. So I knew what it was. I knew, I guess, that he was going to address everything going on with Twiztid and MNE, but I had no idea it was going to go like that. You know, I had my questions written, but you know, as anybody who's seen the interview can tell, can attest, there, it was basically Joe, you know, talking and getting his thoughts and feelings out for 2 hours. So, and Shaggy again would agree and throw his thoughts in there too, but it was mostly a Joe interview. And you could cut the tension in that room with a knife, because you know, I had Rob and Billy were behind the cameras, you know, watching everything happen, and so I'd look over them every once in a while, and they'd be like, oh my god. And I have this outtake from when we had to change SD cards because it was that long, where I was walking away to go to the bathroom, and it looks like I'm walking off the set like I'm upset about something, but Joe was like, man, this is a crazy fucking interview. so yeah, anyway, it was, like I said, you can cut the tension in that room with a knife. It was tense. But
what were your thoughts as Jay's sitting there just spilling all this shit about Twiztid, Young Wicked? You know, I mean, you're a fan just like the rest of us, but you're sitting there just listening to this guy vent, basically.
Yeah, man. I mean, I guess knowing what the announcements were recently, I thought it was going to come down to something like that, but my heart was kind of breaking too. You know, that meant, you know, no more Lotus, no more Ridas, no more Twiztid at the Gathering, and obviously that's the way it's worked out since 2017, but still didn't make it easy at all. Yeah, I mean, I guess it was just it was shocking, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? So,
right.
After I was done, I actually called George the next day from M&E, and I'm like, hey, just so you know, these things were discussed. I'm here in Detroit. I can't really let you see the interview. I don't think that's fair. But is there anything you'd like? Would you like to do a short interview or whatever while I'm here? And they declined. And so I'm all right. And then I don't know if you remember the short video that they put out afterwards that I don't know. I didn't know. I don't think that was the right way to handle it. That didn't make a whole lot of sense, but
Right.
Again, I
think they were just tossed such a curveball. They didn't even know how to handle that situation.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know, man. It's such a weird time. It wasn't good for either side.
No,
in my opinion, it just sucked being a fan of both for so long. Just both groups playing such an important role in my life. And it's like just like that. It's done. It's just
yeah. I mean, and you got to think there were 15 years on the label, 14 or 15, and then 5 years of being civil with one another at least.
Right.
And and then they're all Hey, look, man, like I know it was the Faygo Lovers interview or whatever, but that would have happened regardless. So don't blame me.
I when that happened, I remember thinking like, why isn't Scottie saying anything back? Why isn't he giving any pushback? But put myself in that situation. What am I gonna? Would I do it different? I don't know. I got this guy I got Jay who calls me in because he wants to do an interview. I'm not reaching out to him to do an interview. Yeah. So it's just kind of like
you said. We're just kind of like their sounding board. And I mean, I guess I did ask some questions to some of his responses, but I mean, what do you do? Like you said, right. What do you do? At that point, again, you got Billy and Rob on the other side of you out of camera view, and they're like, I mean, the camera stopped at some spots, or they asked to stop the camera because it was getting too personal about the whole, Otis or Young Wicked and Samantha thing, and Rob's just like, no. But anyway, yeah, it was. I mean, to anybody who's never been put in that situation, and obviously there are very few who have, in something where they're really just unloading their feelings about everything. I don't know. It's very unique, a very unique situation, and I don't regret it. I think it was again just one of those chalk up experience that I just happened to luckily be a part of. But yeah, still the end result of them still not doing projects or anything together still kind of sucks. So
it definitely sucks. Yeah, sure. Like without a doubt, but it is what it is. Like you said.
Yeah.
What about favorite interviews that you've done over the years? Do you have any interviews that stick out to you that you've done?
So back in Twiztid's always fun, man. They're always a great interview. The one that I did with them back in, I did one with them in 2005 on the Man's Myth tour. That was a lot of fun. And then 2014 we did another one. I think that was the last time that was the last time I talked to them on camera. And then Big B and Dirtball, when they were doing their I think it was Subnoise Soldiers together.
Yeah,
that was fun. D Lyrical fairly recently, that was a fun one too. I talked to Vinny for almost 2 hours on the phone. There've been a number of good ones, and it's funny because I don't do it very often anymore, mostly because of lack of time and preparation. And props to Chad Carson, who is like an encyclopedia of this whole, not only the underground scene, but just about every scene that you could imagine. He knows. I mean, man, that you can ask him.
He interviews some of the most random random people. I'm like,
for sure.
So like, this is crazy.
Yeah, but he knows a little bit about, maybe even a lot about every different musical genre. And he'll ask me, he's like, are you okay with me covering so and so band? I'm like, dude, whatever. Just if you love it, then absolutely go for it. So, so yeah, so props to him. Props to all of our contributors for Faygo Lovers, past and present. Mankini's recently joined the crew, so and he's doing a lot
I
of
saw that. Yeah, I saw his name like on the articles and whatnot.
Yeah. So great guy. I love him. And but yeah, I don't even remember what the original question was. Oh, favorite interview. So yeah, I think I've heard most of that. So
that's fresh.
Blaze too, man. Blaze is always a fun, a great guy to talk to.
He's a real chill dude. Like anytime I get to meet him, like at a meet and greet or anything like that, just a real chill guy.
Yeah, and I've always been a huge Blaze mark. I've made no secret about that. Any project that he's a part of, I'm count me in. So.
Blaze is the shit, man. He's always had like a unique flow. His voice is just so fresh too.
Mm-hmm.
Love that shit. Ever since hearing him on Hound Dogs, I mean, like, who the fuck is Blaze? Like,
right?
Nobody even knew who Blaze was. And then I think the next time you hear him was on, was it Dumpin'? That was like the first time we heard him.
Because that was the Dumpin' came out before his EP.
Yeah. And like, damn, this dude's fucking killing it. Like this, we need like a project from him. And just, the back in the day shit, the Dumpins, the Blaze EP, and the first Cryptic collection. I remember seeing Twiztid on tour, the Rock the Dead tour, Palladium upstairs. It was like $12 for the show, and my first Juggalo show, and it was Blaze, ABK with the silver face paint. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
ABK with the silver face paint, man, just killing it. Super fresh.
Yeah, and so I saw, I believe to be the first Blazy Dead Homie performance at the first gathering when his first EP came out. So I kind of stick that as a feather in my cap. So
yeah, I seen, I forget who posted footage of that, but you got ABK with like the big fro on stage.
Yeah,
awesome, man.
It was dope. So is Worcester your or the Palladium your home venue? Okay.
Oh yeah.
I've always wanted to go to a concert there because I heard there's unbelievable, like crazy. So
it's wild, man. I mean, Worcester has gotten shout out numerous times on records, which is fucking fresh. I remember, on the Bizarre album, Jay, that was the first time Worcester got a shout out. It was like, oh shit, like Worcester is. I could remember people would be lined up at like 6 a.m. to get to the show. That night, like, damn, motherfuckers is ready for this.
Yeah, it's good. Some Hatchet Rising tour. Did you go to that tour? No,
I didn't go, and that's my biggest regret. I didn't go to Hatchet Rising. I did go to the Black Rain tour, so I did get to see Lotus at some point.
Okay,
but I didn't go to Hatchet Rising, man.
Man, what a mistake!
I know. I talk about it all the time with Brandon and all the other dudes out here.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, man. So, in Dallas anyway, we had ninjas staying overnight, like in the parking lot, just waiting for the show. So, and Hatchet Rising was definitely one of those. Bronco Bull that was that was mentioned in, what was that song? Shit. I guess it's time that I told you how great you are. I can't remember. It's time. That's what it's called. It's time.
Okay.
The ICP song. So anyway, yeah. So Bronco Bull, Deep Ellum, the Hatchet Rising tour, man. That was an unbelievable tour, unbelievable show. So
I can't. I'm upset that I missed that.
I think that was the first show that I actually painted up for too. And I don't paint up a lot, but I had my Lotus Cross on that day. So,
speaking of, is that your favorite concert, or if not, what is your favorite concert besides Gathering?
Okay, so I would say that's definitely top 3. It might be my favorite. It probably is my favorite. Definitely my favorite tour. Okay.
Yeah.
One-off show, Carnival of Carnage in Detroit was fucking ridiculous, and that same year the March show. I mean, you don't get much more iconic than that than that. And then they were the March and the Carnival show were like 3 weeks apart, maybe 2 weeks apart. So, so yeah, we had a lot of flavor going on in that
I
entire
remember that
campaign.
year. I'm like, damn, motherfuckers are baroque this year.
Dude, I'm saying,
Gathering, the march, the carnival show. Like, damn.
yeah. And you know that carnival show was the first $150 price tag, you know, or ticket, and now now that seems to be the norm. So
That's the norm now. Is like an
yeah,
expensive ass show, man.
yeah.
But you know, they do put on a really dope show. And you know, when you were talking about the Carnival of Carnage show, I wanted to be like, give us the John Kick Jazz documentary, but they did address that.
Yeah, they did.
And I hope that documentary comes to fruition where they really give us that deep dive into John Kick Jazz, you know, because
Mhm.
he was on Dog Beats, he was on Carnival of Carnage, and really expand on that more. I mean, you know, he talked about it in Behind the Paint, and Behind the Paint is just so classic, and
Oh, legendary.
the
Yeah,
audio book is even better.
agreed. Yeah, agreed.
Like, um, so I would really like to see them expand on John Kick Jazz and the early days of ICP.
Me too. And I can't remember what project Jay and Shaggy said that they were going to include that footage in, but it was basically going to be like a full-on psychopathic produced or directed ICP documentary, and they'll include that. I don't remember. I mean, who cares if they have a timeline because they never stick to one, right? So,
Right.
um, but yeah, I'd like to see it too. You know, just if nothing else, and just to honor him. You know.
Absolutely. I had Robbie from the @Twiztid History page on Instagram.
I love that
On
page,
here.
man. Props to Robbie.
Yeah, such a dope page. And we were talking about how Twiztid has never had a proper documentary. Like,
Right.
they had the docu-stream last year, but it was kind of the same shit that we've always heard. Maybe a
Yeah.
couple things sprinkled in. Like, wouldn't you like a proper Twiztid documentary where they really, maybe not even into their like childhood lives, but like really dive into the HOK
Oh
stuff?
man. See, I'm a huge HOK mark, and I can see it from your poster and on the wall that you are too.
Yes.
Man, I'll never forget getting. I got dubs of those tapes too back in the day. Nobody's gonna know what I'm talking about. Do you remember Lords of Acid Girl?
No.
Okay, so she would dub these HOK tapes and sell them and resell them because you can find an original one. So that's how I got all of my head trauma and Season of the Pumpkin and all that stuff originally. But man, I would talk about wearing those tapes out too. But yeah, it would be. I was really excited for the docu-stream because like you said, I thought that they were gonna do it proper, like kind of similar to like kind of like a shockumentary or whatever. But I don't know, it left to me, it left a lot to be desired. So I'm hoping that they come correct with it, put some maybe hire a documentary team and do it right, because I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, they always talk about like not focusing on the past and focusing on the future, but man, like people like us want to hear that shit. Like we
Yeah.
really do. And I hope if I keep talking about it, bringing it up on these shows, maybe somebody will put it in their ear and do something like that. Cause like the HOK shit still to this day is kind of a mystery. Like we've got like a
Mhm.
big idea of what happened, but come on, like I want to know about the makings of the records,
Yeah.
what really happened with the split,
And
when you got
Latinum and yeah.
Walter and all
Yeah,
that
right,
shit.
right, right.
Do you not own the House of Crazy's name at this point? Because I've heard that as well.
Yeah, I've
That's
heard
why
that before
everything is
too.
HOK now.
Yeah. Any HOK merch drop, man, they got me. I'm telling you.
Facts. Facts. I got the cassette box set back there.
Same.
I
Yeah.
really wish they would have done a CD box set. That would have been super
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah. They
But
probably still will.
yeah,
We'll see.
the HOK shit, man, it's just you know, like classic. I mean, Season of the Pumpkin, man, is like Halloween theme music. Come on.
Yep. And they surprised everybody at Fright Fest. What, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago. They came out and did a small HOK set at Fright Fest. I was like, man, talk about talk about like a childhood dream, right? Because I never
Right.
saw them on tour, like when they were
Yeah.
touring with ICP back in the day. I didn't. My first tour was actually Wicked Clowns from Outer Space. Even though I'd already been listening to them for a few years and tours had come through Dallas, I was terrified after after hearing about some of the shows, and because there was the internet wasn't
Watching the documentary and all
yeah
that.
the internet wasn't. I mean, again, it wasn't what it is today, obviously. So so yeah, I was like, I'm not stepping foot in that on one of those shows. So my buddy Daniel went to the Juggalo Funhouse tour and saw Twiztid open up for him. And then, so I went to the next tour that Jekyll Brothers was actually the next tour that was supposed to come through Dallas, but surprise, they got the Woodstock, and they canceled. They canceled a couple of dates on that Jekyll Brothers tour. So, Wicked Clowns from Outer Space was the first tour that I got to see.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I was fortunate enough. Worcester was such a heavy clown town, juggalo town back in the day. Still not quite as much as it was back in the day now, but it's the presence is still there. But
Sure.
Twiztid held 2 Fright Fests here back to back. I think it was 04 and 05. And I think it was the 04 Fright Fest where they handed out the remastered Season of the Pumpkin, and HOK performed.
Oh,
so
wow.
I actually got to see HOK perform.
Wow.
And they didn't even wear masks. They had like painted the pumpkin on their faces.
Man.
And they came out in robes and shit. And I was like, I can't believe I'm watching the House of Crazies right now.
That's incredible, man. Yeah, that's one that you've seen that I wish I would have been there for. I'm definitely jealous.
Yeah, that show was wild, man. The show got tear gassed at the end because everybody went nuts trying to get, because there was like a miscommunication on how to get the Season of the Pumpkin CD. And then like people were starting to steal the boxes of CDs.
Oh shit!
Police came in and tear gassed the crowd and shit. It was crazy.
You think after 30 years of handing out singles that they'd have that down to a science, but nope.
Yeah, it's like that they're handing out singles, because I remember I walked out and I saw nobody. I'm like, and then I saw somebody walk by with the CD. I'm like, yo, where the fuck did you get the CD? Like, oh, inside. I'm like, they're like, no re-entry. I literally crawled my way back in underneath everybody, got in, just reached in, grabbed the CD, and got the fuck out, because I saw it was like just starting to get crazy at that point. I was like, fuck this.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same deal with the Tucson Juggalo weekend a couple weeks ago. I mean, there was, open boxes of CDs at the door with like one or two guys handing them out. But I mean, it would have been so easy to snatch a box or whatever. But I don't know if anybody did, but luckily I was able to get my tape. So.
Oh yeah, I saw some footage of that, and ICP performing with a band. I think that's the first time that they've ever performed with a band.
I think with a full band, other than the acoustic shows that they've done.
Right.
So they've done some acoustic shows, but nothing like this where it was all, straight up, drumming and electric guitars and stuff. And man, what a fun fucking show. That those guys just never disappoint, in my opinion. And I was listening to one of the Shaggy and the Creek Palcasts today, and they were like, yeah, Keegan was like, man, I sure wish you guys would have recorded that show. And Shaggy's like, nope, you had to be there to see it, and I kind of like it that way. So
yeah.
But I mean, to me, I want them to record everything, and even 10, 20 years down the line, say, oh yeah, that one time that we put on this 80s rock show, check this out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Instead of compiling footage from YouTube or whatever it is. I mean, hell, even here's a funny tidbit. The Wizard of the Hood DVD that came out a few years back. Part of the first 5 or 6 minutes of that was video that I shot on my cell phone. That actually made it to the DVD.
Oh wow!
Kuma reached out to me and he said, "Hey, did you get any of this footage?" Because he knew I was in the photo pit. So yeah, I shot the first, like however long they left us in there. I've got like 5 or 6 minutes of it on, whatever HD was at the time in 2017. So yeah, a lot of that was my stuff on the DVD.
That's such a man. Talk about epic performance.
And you weren't there to see it live, man.
I wasn't there to see it live, but even just watching it.
Oh,
the DVD of it is
was magical.
fresh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, what a way to rub it in my face, Scotty. Come on.
I've actually got the axe from that performance hanging on my wall on the other side of this computer. So
Oh, really?
yeah, I got the Tin Man axe.
That's fucking fire,
Yeah, that's
man.
pretty
The
dope.
fact that they actually pulled that performance off is
Oh,
crazy.
unreal.
I remember when that album was like first being talked about, like, and they had let people in for like an exclusive listening of the album, hearing about people talking about, listening to the album before everybody else.
So yeah, and I should have remembered this, but that was back in 2003. I was one of those people. They reached out to the top Juggalo sites at the time, and it was Real Juggalos, us, Real Juggalettes, if you remember them. I think the Sixth and Ridas and probably a few others. And so we had to. It was after I believe it was the Wicked Wonka tour. We were asked to meet up at this hotel, whatever hotel ICP was staying at the time, and I had my girlfriend at the time with me, and so we were just like waiting outside the bus for them to let us on, and so we finally got on. Do you remember Psycho Patrick?
I do, yes.
Back in the day. So he was in there in like the bus, like the front area of the bus. And they basically told him, hey, just keep them company while we're getting ready and the guys are getting showered up or whatever. And so Psycho Patrick, who was a part of JCW at the time, had both me and my girlfriend at the time stab him in the head with plastic forks. Until they broke. So that's the only thing I remember about the time before actually listening to the album. But man, what an amazing moment or hour or so that I got to hear that 6 months before it was released too. And again, amazing opportunity. So it was me, her, and then Violent J in the back area in this dark like studio area of the bus, and he started the beat and he said, "Just now, I want you to just listen. We'll talk about it afterward, but all I want you to do is just sit there and just listen to the album, and then I want to hear your thoughts afterwards." So it was, other than the music and coming over the speakers, it was basically whatever 30 minutes of us just nodding our head, laughing at some of the punchlines and everything, and then we talked about it afterwards, and he showed me the extras from the album. I can't remember what they are. The one with Two Live Crew. I can't remember what the tour bus song. And another song too. But yeah, I mean, and then I wrote a review about it, and then Jay on in one of his weekly freaklies actually gave me props for the review. So again, this was 2003, so I was very early on in my Juggalo website days. So that was really cool to kind of be given that kind of validation publicly too. That he's like, man, this guy really gets what I was going for, and it's really cool. So
I mean that EP was just like it was a classic.
Magical.
The first time you listen to it.
Yeah.
It was just so well done, just executed perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's nothing that you could make or do to make that album better than it is. Like it's just everything, the features just killed it.
Yeah, and then Juggalo's clamoring for it for years, a decade and a half before it actually happened, and then them always saying, no, it'll never happen. It'll never happen live. You don't, just get that out of your system. It'll never happen. And then it happened, and man, whatever that DVD makes you feel, it was, man, just experiencing it in person, seeing that car roll out on the stage unexpectedly was just like, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure somebody maybe had done that before, but yeah, it's definitely been duplicated several times since then. So
yeah, down to the outfits and everything. That live, like it was just spot on. It was so dope to watch.
Yeah.
What's your favorite? Let's run through favorite albums real quick. Favorite ICP album?
It's got to be Real Box.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the one that got me started, and usually that from my experience and talking with other Juggalos, that's usually the one it is. It's whatever got you hooked to ICP is the one that
I would agree with that. Malenko for me.
Yeah.
Favorite Twiztid album?
Twiztid, I'm gonna have to go with Most Tasteless, and that's again kind of the same reason. That's the first album of theirs I heard, but fucking Abominations, man, is up there for me. Abomination and Revelation too, but Abominations, man, when they came with that fucking heat, especially after getting roasted about Heartbroken and Homicidal, which is a good album, man. I'll still defend that album all day, man. I love that album. I think that people just got soured on it because of the way it was presented at the gathering that year, but whatever,
Yeah.
We can learn, right? So.
I would agree. Abominations that was like a whole new level up for Twiztid at that point. Yeah. That was nuts. Favorite Blaze album?
Man, I'm gonna go with the classic One Less G.
Yeah.
That
is a fucking classic, man. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, bangers all the way front to back, man.
Lotus.
Tales from the Lotus Pod, Red edition.
Yes.
Red.
The Red edition.
No hate on ABK whatsoever, but man, I'm that one ninja in the crowd screaming, say what you will of me.
Yes. So. I do it every time that shit comes on. It's like, no, not the other version. Favorite ABK?
I really like Hatchet Warrior, but Dirty History got a lot of spins from me, so I'll probably have to stay with Dirty History.
All right.
Yeah.
Scottie D, I appreciate you hopping on here. It's been super fresh. Thank you.
That was cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool meeting up with you, and yeah, very, very cool. Man, for real. You got, what's the date? March what? 9th, 7th, something like that. Yeah. You got 5 months, man. You got 5 months. Make it happen. I want to see you gathering this year.
All right. I'll do my best to make it happen this year.
All right.
I got to make it happen because, like you said, after the announcement last year from Violent J, that was something else I wanted to bring up because I remember watching your live stream. Yeah. And when he announced that, you can hear you audibly being like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like damn.
Yeah. My buddy.
What was that news like, hearing that news live?
Well, so my buddy, shout out to Psycho Scott. He's the guy that you'll see in the photo pits and next to me almost all the time at the gathering too. He was actually the one streaming. I was right beside him though, and he and Violent J are the same age, like a month apart. And so it's kind of surreal that a guy that's that you somewhat grew up listening to and who's about to turn 50 is having these health conditions that are that are not. I mean, obviously, no health conditions are good. Right. They're all detrimental, but just to hear that it's actually going to affect us being able to see ICP perform, and I don't know, it hit him hard too. I think we both had a tear in our eye for sure. Whenever he announced that, but obviously after seeing everything that happened since that gathering with him going into rehab, there might have been some other things at play that were worsening his condition. So yeah. I'm hoping that all of that is, I hope he's on the straight and narrow now. You know what I'm saying? So whatever he was doing has stopped, and hopefully his heart and everything else will heal.
Yeah, so absolutely. It just made you realize that this dude's is human.
Yeah,
he's not a superhero. He's not Superman.
Right. Right. Yeah. So yeah, that definitely hit hard. But no, I'm hoping. I'm very hopeful, especially after seeing he's dropped a ton of weight again. He looked great in Arizona, and the last few shows that I've seen him at, he's looked really good. So yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Stay on the straight and narrow. But Scottie D, thank you again, man. I appreciate you hopping on. Definitely, man. Thanks for having me. Absolutely. Much love, y'all. And that's going to wrap it up. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in. Much love. I'm Ron Bone of the Beneath the Dirt podcast. And until next time.
I'm out. Peace.
Peace.